Hi, my name is Dennis Angel. I am an XRPL core developer at XRPL Labs, and today we're going to be talking about consensus amendments. So on the agenda today are what amendments are and why they exist, how distributed agreements work, the democratic process of the protocol changes, how changes become part of the network, real-world consequences of amendments, and when things don't go as planned. So first, why do we need amendments? The challenge. Blockchain networks must evolve to remain competitive, all participants must agree on the same rules, and changes must be coordinated between all nodes at the same time so that no central authority can force changes. So the solution is amendments. It's a democratic voting system for protocol changes, ensures network-wide consensus before activation, and maintains decentralization while enabling evolution. So understanding amendments. An amendment is a proposed change to the XRPL core rules that affects transaction processing logic, consensus mechanisms, the ledger structure, or network behavior. Some of the key characteristics are we strive for backwards compatibility, so it must not break existing functionality, the network-wide impact, which affects all participants equally, irreversibility, so once activated, it cannot be undone, and it must be democratic, which requires a majority approval. Well, what is the journey of an amendment? An amendment goes from a proposal to development, testing, voting, activation, and then finally integration. So the 6 phases. First, they are community proposals. Ideas emerge from the community. Then the code is written and tested. The code is then distributed through a release, but inactive. Validators vote on these amendments, and the voting approval must be above 80% for the 2 weeks before it triggers activation, and then the activation occurs on a flag ledger, and these new rules become active. So, where amendments begin. Anyone can propose an amendment, developers, businesses, community members. There's a public discussion, so ideas are debated openly. We build consensus among the community, so community support is gathered, and proposals are improved through feedback using GitHub. Some key considerations, we try to find what problems does this solve, who benefits, who might be affected, can this be implemented safely, and is there a genuine demand for this proposal? So second, development and testing. We take the technical specification and we develop that based on detailed requirements. Developers write the actual changes. This goes through multiple rounds of testing. And then finally, review, where other developers review and examine the code. This often also includes an audit. Individual components are tested, system-wide behavior is verified, potential vulnerabilities are identified, and then we measure the impact on the network through performance testing. So the next step is network deployment. The code is submitted to the main repository. The new code is included in the Ripple software release. Validators then update their software, and the amendment code then exists but is inactive. So next we have the waiting period. So there's no immediate effect. The network behavior remains unchanged. Nodes confirm that they have the update, and then voting preparation begins for the democratic process. So next is the consensus architecture. There's no central authority, no single entity controls the decisions. We go with a majority rule, which is an 80% agreement on the required changes. It's a time-based validation, so that 80% must be sustained over a 2-week period, and any significant minority can block these changes by vetoing the amendment. So how do validators express their will? Validators vote on the amendment. Only nodes that participate in consensus can vote. Each validator has 1 vote regardless of size. All votes are transparent and verifiable. So voting expression. Validators consistently express their preferences. They vote 1 time, and then every flag ledger, it adds up all of their votes. There are specialized markers that indicate support or opposition, and validators can change their vote at any time. So understanding the supermajority requirement, why 80%? 80% ensures broad community support It prevents tyranny of the simple majority, the 51%. It reduces the risk of continuous splits, and it requires a high confidence in network-wide adoption. In comparison to other systems, a simple majority is a 51%, and we believe that's too risky for irreversible changes. Unanimity, which is 100%, which would prevent any progress. It's too high of a standard to meet. So we believe 80% is the sweet spot. The next section, why sustained support matters. The reason we use a 2-week period of sustained 80% is that it allows time for reflection, for testing. It also ensures support isn't temporary. It gives the network the time to prepare that they need to implement these changes, and it provides an opportunity for concerns to emerge. The dynamic nature of this supports continuous monitoring. Voters can change their vote during this period, and there is a reset mechanism if that 80% drops below any time within that 2-week period. The 2-week period clock resets. So where does the voting happen? Voting happens every 256 ledgers, also known as a flag ledger. Voting is a part of the normal ledger creation of every ledger, especially that 256th ledger. All votes are permanently recorded, and no human intervention occurs in the voting tallying. So this is an integration with normal operations. There's no disruption. Voting doesn't interfere with transactions. Amendments and transactions coexist, and this allows for a predictable voting schedule. How is history preserved? History is preserved in the ledger storage, so all votes are stored in the blockchain. Complete amendment history is preserved. We have an audit trail to verify the voting process, and there's no hidden or secret votes. The next section is the activation process. So when it becomes reality, the activation trigger happens on the 257th ledger. So no human intervention is required. After the 80% above for 2 weeks, it gets activated. All nodes must comply simultaneously, and there's no going back once it's activated. All nodes switch at the exact same time. Nodes using old rules are actually excluded or amendment blocked, and then service continues uninterrupted. So what happens when amendments are activated? All the nodes must use the new rules or be excluded. Old nodes may need to update their Ripple versions. For network users, access to enhanced features, some operations may work differently, and applications may need to make updates. In the next section, we'll talk about how network fees are determined. They are determined the same way through a voting process, which occurs on a flag ledger. It's slightly different from amendments. Fees can change regularly. It's not just a yes, no, but specific values. It affects the network economics, not the rules, and it does change every 256 ledgers. In summary, this system demonstrates how distributed networks can evolve and improve while maintaining consensus and avoiding pitfalls that have affected other blockchain projects. Thank you for watching.